This is the Impressions Exchange Podcast. Where all topics impacting the graphic imaging and printing industry are addressed via in-depth news coverage, analysis, and timely interviews.
Hey everybody, I want to welcome you to the first edition, first session, first podcast of Printing's Alive with me, your host, Warren Werbitt, lover of print, passionate about fishing. And the goal of Printing's Alive is really just to bring print and every aspect from it, from A to Z, from all kinds of printing, offset, digital, fabric, concrete, and anything we come up with in the future. I want to talk to the founders of the technology. I want to speak to the operators, press people, shippers, passionate people about print, buyers of print, anything print. So if you know anybody that you think should be on here that has what it takes, please let me know. Today, we're going to get right into it. In the first session, today I thought we would bring some people together that are really leading the industry of print with digital. Coincidentally, they all come out of Israel, so it's pretty good. I'll introduce everybody. We have Ilan Elad from Kornit. We have Eli Grinberg from Scodix, and we have Shlomo Nimrodi from Highcon. Hello, gentlemen.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Hey, guys.
Good morning, good afternoon. Everyone's coming from different parts of the world here. How about if we start off with everybody, just a little introduction of yourselves, which I'm sure most people know, and what you do. Ilan, you're in my top corner. We'll start with you.
Hi, my name is Ilan. I'm from Israel. I'm here at Kornit Digital. I'm the president of Kornit Digital Americas. I do not come from the printing world. I joined Kornit in Japan 4 years ago, and beforehand I was in different industries, trucks, real estate, software, and computers. So I'm actually probably the youngest in the industry from the three of you, so I hope to learn a lot after this podcast. So that's me.
Great. Eli, you're on top. Next.
Guys, Eli Greenberg from Scodix. Obviously, I'm Israeli. I'm based in the last 8 years in the Netherlands, and I moved here because I was managing the sales in Europe, and 4 years ago I took over the role of the CEO, and I'm doing it from here. Scodix, global company, as you know, we build and develop our technology in Israel, but we sell it worldwide, and we're in an interesting point in time, in history, in our company. I started the company together with my co-founder, and it went through different generations, but now I think we're in a good time now for the company. So happy to be here.
Great, thanks. Shlomo?
Yes, thanks for having us for this exciting podcast. I'm asking myself, am I in the right podcast? We're not printing, we're finishing. Okay, and we're doing it digitally. Okay, so I've been the CEO of Highcon for the last 5.5 years. I actually moved to the chairman position just a couple months ago. Yair Alkobi is now our CEO of the company. My connection to print actually started with Indigo. I was the chief financial officer of Indigo, led the IPO back in '94. Spent there about 7 years, ended up as a chief operating officer, and actually moved away from the printing industry and was seduced to come back by Benny Landa and by one of the largest venture capital in Israel. And in the course of the last 5 years, we really pivoted the company around the packaging and display industry. And it's exciting times.
Great. Well, if anybody's going to entertain anyone to come back, I think Benny Landa's got a pretty good speak and voice when he turns on the charm. I think it's hard to say no to him. I think I even went and put a deposit down when he first introduced the Landa press. I got so excited. It was pretty good. One of the things I wanted to really just talk about is when I think about Israel and I think about print, for the country that it is, the size that it is, the technology that comes out of there is a little mind-boggling. We had Cytex way back then, Indigo, and everyone I think laughed at Benny at the beginning with Landa when you had to buy another machine for parts. That was the joke way back then in the beginning, and then look what happened. Now we have digital embellishment and fabric and die cutting. Why Israel? If anybody wants to pipe in and just give some thought. Is it the thinking? Is it the schooling? Is it the military training? Is it the want to expand to do more? Why so Israel? And Germany, we had the offset presses that came. We had some stuff coming out of Japan, but in the recent 10, 15 years, Israel's blowing up with this technology. Just curious if anybody would understand, think why.
Maybe Eli and Shlomo, since you guys are a bit more experienced, I can give you afterwards my thoughts on a more philosophical level. But
go ahead, Eli.
I think it's the ecosystem that was creating during these years. No, in the end, it's a perfect system that helps everyone who even comes up with an idea and has, questions and doubts. The ecosystem is something that makes it happen. The knowledge, the people, the support, the government, the innovation, the reputation, everything.
Yeah, I agree with Eli. I might add that digital revolution requires multidisciplinary technologies. And when you look at a digital print or you look at a digital finish, it does involve mechanics, it does involve material, it does involve optics. It has a lot of components which requires multidisciplinary, I would say, capabilities and skill set. And I think the fact that Israel has an ecosystem that starts with the military, and the fact that the military is very much around technology today, I don't think we need to go far. Just look in the last 12 months and see how much technology made a difference in the battlefield. It's not the same when I was an 18-year-old soldier. I assume it's the same for my colleagues here. So I think that's a major differentiator. I think the ability to go long runs. Developing piece of hardware, a multidisciplinary piece of hardware, is a long commitment. This is not a software, hit and run. No disrespect to all the cyber and IT and all these guys, but being successful in the hardware space requires stamina and the ability to do this for the long haul and have the necessary funding to sustain that. And I think last but not least, there has been a momentum. There are some pioneers in this industry like Cytex, who is 30 years ago, not 10, 15 years ago. And Cytex really generated EFI. And many people in Kornit are actually coming from Cytex and Indigo. It's one thing led to another, and there is a pool of talent which is pretty much running in circles between these different companies. So that's my take.
Yeah, I think if I may just add to that, I think that what Eli and Shlomo both are, if you look at the combination, it was Cytex, afterwards Noor, and Benny Landa started a lot of the activities, was one of the founders. And I think that what happens, Israelis look for success. And if you see something that's successful and you start creating that ecosystem, it grows. Today, Kornit, and I know that companies move from one another and sometimes we're upset at each other. But if you look at it from a very high level, we feed from each other, we learn from each other. And I think that Israel, in that case today in the printing industry, is a leader in technology. Of course, you see in Japan, we have a few Japanese companies that work. We see it in our space, we see it in other spaces. Again, they focused on a certain area, created that ecosystem with suppliers and knowledge, and that's where it's grew from. So I think it's in Israel, you need the first spark. And if it's successful, it immediately creates great success in and around it. And I think that that's what did it for this industry, like others. But unfortunately for us, this is a longer time cycle from than you would with with Cyber or other software companies that are coming out today.
Yeah, for sure. I think somewhere in there, I think my father would have liked if I ended up in the army at one point for a little bit of discipline. Right? Probably change a few of his things, some of the lessons he wants to teach me. But no, that's good. No, I think I agree that's a big part of that. If I look at other people that I know in just different military elsewhere, it's the discipline, the learning. It's kind of in studying. If I look at friends that are lawyers, they seem to be pretty good in taking in information and retaining it because they're taught, they're trained to read and a lot of information. You don't have to be a lawyer after, but it gives you a big boost afterwards. When I think of technology, and I don't just think of print, I think of Waze. I think of some of the games that were created that became Facebook's number 1 and 2 for generating revenue. Right? I think of the cherry tomato. I think of texting. I think of the USB key. It's kind of endless for just a small country to create, items that are just so global. It's pretty amazing. It kind of, I don't know, it keeps the fire going. So gotta love it. Shlomo, why don't you tell me a little bit about Highcon? Well, not me, but why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about Highcon?
Yeah, so printing really digital printing really started with Benny Landa back in the early 90s, and when you look at the packaging industry, it started off with digital print for the folding carton. It moved to the corrugated. But when you look at this industry, it's really a process industry. And when you have a digital transformation and you only deal with one piece of the puzzle, one piece of the manufacturing line, you really don't solve your bottlenecks. I mean, having a digital printer on its own doesn't really give you the full benefit of going digital. So it became clear that to complete this revolution, I mean, you've started with Scodix doing the pre-press. You moved to the print with, initially Indigo, which was later acquired by HP. Now you have maybe 5 or 6 companies that are doing digital print. You have digital print for folding carton. You have digital print for corrugated. You've got the, print embellishment, which Ellie is driving that revolution with some competitors, but not too many. And you have Highcon, which is pretty much right now the only one that is really driving a major, I would say, transformation. I don't want to call it transformation because it's kind of pretentious. I mean, we do believe it's the right tool for the right job. I don't think analog is going to go away anytime soon. I do believe, however, that organizations evolve, and as the market evolve and short runs are more, broader in demand and manufacturing on demand is more critical, being able to cater for those consumer demands forces our customers to move also into digital and really expand their tool set. So Highcon started over 10 years ago with the digital die cutting. Like most hardware companies, had a bumpy start, had the wrong equipment, sold it to the wrong marketplace, made all the possible mistakes. Equipment didn't work, uptime was limited, and I guess somewhere in the 2019, 2020, we started to get it right. We repivoted the company toward packaging and display. And today the company has about 90 installations, mostly in Europe and the US, with about 35% repeat business. It's a recurring business. I mean, we sell equipment and also some consumables and services, not as much as Kornit and Scodix and HP and Landa, because they obviously put an ink on every sheet. And our consumables run per job. But we have got among our customers some of the major players around the world, the Smurfit of the world, the DS Smith of the world, the Pratt Industries of the world, and some of them have purchased multiple machines. And we're very pleased with the progress. It's not easy. I mean, sales processes are long. Anything you plan never goes according to plan, and you have to make the necessary adjustments. But all in all, the trajectory is positive. So I'm very pleased.
Yeah, that's a pretty short time, 10 years to come from where it was to where it is. I mean, you just mentioned all the biggest names in corrugate. Last week I was talking with Charles Linney from Linney Group. They have one. I've spoken with a few other printers along the way that are a lot smaller, and they seem to be liking it, and they like the ability to be diverse with it and do different things and change up. I only wish when I had the company that we had something like that, because just the cost of dies and the time it takes to get a die back, and if there's a problem, just that alone is takes up too much space today with the just in time, just on demand.
I'll tell you that most of our customers, and you mentioned Charles Linney. I mean, Charles Linney actually bought the system in July 2020. Okay, I rented for him the system because nobody would buy during Corona time, if you remember that thing.
Yeah.
And after 6 months, he actually converted to full purchase. He returned the investment in 18 months. I can tell you that most of our customers make an ROI on a system that we sell for 1.5 to 2.5 million in 18 to 36 months. And that's quite outstanding in this industry.
First of all, in any industry, I would call him. He might need a second one, But I mean, you mentioned before the expense. What in printing is not expensive, and what in printing doesn't take a lot of time to do. It's actually, I find that we're in an industry where the whole world needs us in order to move their product, to sell what they're doing, be retail, direct to consumer business, etc. And we kind of get on the sales side, we have the worst attitude from everybody. It's like we get treated the worst, even though we're needed the most. But I guess we just keep doing. We like punishment in our industry. Keeps us going. Eldie, a little bit about Scodix. Yeah, no pain, no gain. Some like the pain more than others, by the way. I do not. Eldie, how about Scodix? A little bit of history and where it's at.
It's a long history.
Take as long or short as you want. It's up to you.
I think it's a typical story of I would say of a digital printing company in the Israeli industry that is, doing its own way. Every company does its own way and its own path, and it's interesting to see it. And I think it's a beautiful, evolving story, especially if it goes well now. So it's something that we started 17 years ago, Kobe Bar and myself. Hold on, the camera.
Oh, there you go. You're looking pretty again. You're looking pretty again.
Okay.
We see you.
Yeah.
Now we don't. Hit the button again. We don't see you.
Yeah.
There you go. You're back. Stop playing with the buttons.
Okay.
You're good.
So we are now in a stage that 4 years ago, in the middle or let's say in the beginning of the pandemic, we realized that we have a very nice equipment. We sell very well to the commercial printing market, and all of a sudden, in a short time, few months, this whole market stopped for us. And we had a beautiful technology and a B2 machine that was, we had at the time already about 200 machines installed. So it's a nice install base, and we were stuck because Drupa was cancelled. We invested a lot in technology, counting on it. And what do we do now? So we did a quite interesting pivot in the company and started strategically looking at the different market, which is the folding carton. And it's quite a change because it's a different kind of customers. It's a different kind of equipment. We were short on money and time, and we said, okay, what do we do and how do we start talking to this market? And we developed, based on the platform that we already had of the Ultra, of the B2, we made a B1 machine. It was called the Ultra 6000 in the beginning, and it's really, was a big bet on our future to go to this direction, taking the ultra that we know and just starting offering to packaging companies to folding cartons, and it works quite well. I mean, we 3 years ago we started installing the first one. Today we have more than 50
Wow.
machines installed of B1 machines. I think it's one of the largest installed base of B1 digital printers at all, I would say. Okay, not only embellishment. It goes very well, and today about 40-50% of what we sell is to the folding carton market. So it's a big number. It's a market that we didn't have before, and it's changed the whole face of the company. We are much more focused now. We are much more a sales-oriented company. I would say the technology is mature. We have more than 400 machines installed already worldwide with this technology. So we know it works, and it's still just a fraction of the potential there, because we still do embellishment. Digital embellished is still less than 1% of the market, and all this potential is huge, and we have a lot to conquer and a lot to prove and to grow, and based on this, that's what drives us.
I think it's first of all, I think I personally love embellishments, and I love everything that you get to be able to do with it, and it allows the creative people to get super creative. The packaging, I think, is a great idea as long as the machines pick up their speed, because it's the packaging people that have the volume and the repeat and competitive use. I think in the world of print, it's a little tougher on the commercial side, because more and more printers maybe are, it's only the orders that they get that they have to work on. It's not the same repeat. In the label business too, it's the same thing. It's more about the repeat and the continuity of orders coming in. How fast is the machine?
It's pretty fast. In terms of B1 sheets, let's say the 41 inch, it's 1,000 sheets per hour. So it's pretty fast. It's almost in line with the analog equipment with the hot foil stamping. I'd say it's a third of the speed, but it takes no setup time, and we all know how long it takes to set up a hot foil machine. So it's a big deal, and
also the setup
in no time. It's so disruptive. So people who come from this industry still don't believe. It's so disruptive.
No, I think it's amazing.
And the HSHD, it's really, I don't know if you've seen the latest quality that we've seen presented in Drupa. It's beautiful.
Yeah, no, we were there. Yeah, no, I think from a setup perspective, huge time saving, especially if you're going to do multiple steps and the machine has multiple applications at the same time. And then I think one of the greatest things with digital is just the saving of the waste and the setup and the make ready. Because when you're on the offset presses,
on one machine, it does your hot foil and the spot varnish and embossing in one machine. I mean, it's really very disruptive in this industry.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think everything. I wish back when I started, I had the opportunity that some of the young people coming in the industry have, because it's a game changer. Nobody's getting dirt on their hands anymore. Everybody's just pushing buttons with preset programs and ideas and thoughts and folding and whatnot.
Yeah, but labor is an issue. Labor is a big issue, not all over the world, but labor and when you need these meisters who know how to set up an old Bob's machine. Customers, replaced all these operations with the IT guy that is running the Scodix. That's it. The IT guy is running the Scodix. We see it in so many cases. It solves them so many headaches that are not related to the value of only what we bring. It's a different vision for them as a company. When they embed this technology, we find ourselves, as part of their vision forward.
Yeah, when I look around the industry and I look at all the presses out there, the average company with their press operators are, mid to late 50s. The younger people aren't really looking to necessarily get into it. I'm even suggesting to some people with some of the AI that's available with the older press operators, every time you have a problem and you solve it, have them enter it into the AI. So anyone that you get after, you're building a library of all your issues. When I think back to the press, when I had it and the guy would be writing in the book, every pressman writes different. You couldn't even figure out what they wrote down to be the issue to solve the problem. So there's so many different opportunities. But anyway, I love what the machine does. I just only hope that everyone that buys it sells it at a high price to keep up what the value of embellishments are. Right?
That I would say that was our approach recently, up until 3-4 years ago. And today we like them doing the most boring stuff, the boxes of vitamins on the shelf, but I mean, that's the best things. I mean, these are high volumes. It really materialized this whole vision of transforming from analog to digital, because it makes sense even in high volumes doing very boring jobs, packaging, OTCs, things that just need to have a little bit of a bling, but the volumes are really nice there. And for us, that's the beginning of this kind of revolution happening.
Yeah, it's great. And I mean, I was talking with someone the other day. I remember when I was buying my digital machines, I won't mention the manufacturer's name, but at the same time, it was a larger sheet, a heavier sheet, and they were trying to convince me and others to go to companies that bought packaging for the personalization and do, short run. And I would turn to them and I'd say, you're selling the wrong people. You need to go to the packaging people and let them put a digital press in and some finishing equipment, because they've already got the accreditations, the certifications. Brands, when we say brands, I refer to the ones that people know. They're not just letting anybody in the door because they have a digital machine, right? So I think the OEMs could use a little bit, you're on track now, but I think in general could use a little bit of direction sometimes as to who they want to push and where they want to go. But that's cool. Anything you want to add before I move on to Ilan?
Okay.
Ilan, you're up.
So Kornit's a company that's been around for 23 years now. Company went public in, I think, 2017, and it's on NASDAQ. Started as, well, it's been all its life targeting the print, digital print on textiles. If it's DTG, which is called direct to garment, which is finished goods like hoodies, T-shirts, leggings, and other stuff, and the roll-to-roll, which is a different segment in which we print on. The idea for Kornit was that it came out with one process under one system, which is what we call the wet on wet. And the pigment ink, the idea is that you put a layer between the fabric and the ink. Once you have that layer on, you print on the T-shirts. Kornit started with a system that was a desktop system that did 10 to 15 an hour. We've just launched the Apollo last year that does up to 400 an hour. And I think the major change, and I've heard it in other areas, but for Kornit, the major change moved from being an enablement, which meant for the one-offs on the internet, for e-commerce, big players that bought the systems in order to enable selling one T-shirt or two T-shirts at a time. We are, over the last few years, raising the bar with our technology in order to target the real analog, which is the screen printers, which are still very, very big. I mean, if we're now hiring people that have just joined from Indigo, and they're saying that the garment market is where Indigo and the packaging market was around 15 years ago. And so there's great and huge growth opportunities for Kornit in that area. And the key that you spoke about was, and I think Ellie raised it as well, is one, very hard to hire labor in markets in Europe and North America. By the way, even in Latin America, it's becoming harder. The skill set for a person to know how to put together a screen and prepare it in the right manner is a skill set that's diminishing. And we have customers who are in the screen world who are moving to digital, not because it was a choice that they wanted to, it was forced on them because of the cost of stock, the cost of employees, and the ease of utilizing the system, where it was much more complicated years ago. So Kornit is going through that evolution of the market. And like many other Israeli companies, we're the number one in this segment of the market of the textile world. Most of our competitors come from mostly from Japan. some here in the United States. But I think the advantage, and we spoke about it a bit earlier, Israeli companies are very good in coming out with cutting edge technology and putting money and resources in R&D. And I think that that's what keeps at least Kornit a bit ahead of the pack at this stage.
Yeah, I saw the Apollo at Printing United, and I wasn't really well versed in garment printing before because I would only buy garments, and I was actually blown away on how fast the stuff was coming out and how clean it looked. Because when you silk screen, if the guy or the girl, can't discriminate, if they're moving too fast or they move a screen or something, you're getting smudge. I'm sure the waste on analog screen is pretty high. Not to mention just the mess.
Yes,
Right.
if you go see, you saw some of our competitors and how their booths look like. Not because they're messy, it's just the industry is a messy and dirty one.
Everything splashes.
Right, and the Apollo really broke. It really broke the, I don't know, and maybe it's the wrong term, but it broke the sound barrier for printing on digital. The best systems today in the market do about 200. Reaching 400 with one operator is a huge game changer. And we've had the systems in the field. We've just installed the 15th system within this year, and we have a very strong backlog for next year. So people really look at it as a game changer. And we hope that will help us penetrate and grow within the replacement market, where we will be able to replace screen runs of up to 500 to 600 T-shirts. And that's where the TCO becomes financially viable.
Well, I'm thinking a couple things. So the first thing I'm thinking is I didn't realize how big the on-demand print market was, and I think it's growing out of control. Even when I just look at my friends who buy stuff, and then I look at like a Printful or a Printify, or they just merged, they're a Shopify, and excuse me, all the stores that the average little person, I don't mean little, but small business person is opening up and coming out with designs and creating, the influx for the demand, which is pretty, which didn't exist. Well, technology, a lot of stuff didn't exist before that we're doing today.
Well, the e-commerce, if you look at it, it's e-commerce. If you look at the big players, if it's Printful, if it's Amazon, the big players in China, essentially most of us, and you saw what happened to us in COVID, it went through the roof because people couldn't go and shop. They got a lot of money from different governments, and what they did was they went and shopped for T-shirts online. So there was a big jump there. And I think that the online markets are big, they're growing. But I wouldn't cut out retail just yet. The brick and mortars are doing very well. By the way, a lot of them are moving to on-demand there as well, just to lower their stock holdings. We'll talk about sustainability a bit later, but you can see that the change of behavior due to the online world is affecting the brick and mortar, and the change and the pace of change of designs is fascinating. It's unbelievable how quickly the companies need to change. The company actually started with Zara, if you remember. They used to have things on the shelf for 8 weeks. We have a customer by the name of Zoomies who holds things on the shelf for less than 2 weeks. And if it goes, he continues selling it. If it's not, he just moves to the next one and saves, essentially keeps his revenue higher because the low runners don't sell. What doesn't sell, he gets rid of them, and he brings in the high runners where he continues making revenue. So it's all a question of how the buyers and the production people play and market in order to continue making higher revenues and not have to drop prices, even in retail stores today.
Yeah, well, even dropping the prices, if you're not talking about retail stores, but so on my website, I sell the Print Whisper merch. So I've got a bunch of hoodies, some hats, a cup, whatever. It's all print on demand. I would never, ever, ever even consider that if it didn't exist, because I'm not going to buy T-shirts or sweatshirts or hoodies, anything that I don't know the size of, and guess how many mediums, larges, and smalls, and then returns and Now I set it up for anyone who wants nice quality stuff. Anything that sells, I'll get whatever my commission take is, but I deal with nothing. I know nothing. There's a problem. I know nothing. Who needs more problems today?
Exactly.
So just the fact that it's available like that is pretty incredible.
It is.
I think the sky's the limit. And for the manufacturers themselves, it's the same thing. They could turn around and place reorders for the retailers in no time. And, the China and the boat and the waiting and the laying out the money up front for everything. It's, I think you're in a pretty good position these days.
Yeah, we feel so as well.
So it's pretty nice, pretty nice. So we should maybe jump onto sustainability. Sustainability seems to be a big topic today. I'll be really honest with you. I have conversations with people where online the conversation is one way and offline it's a whole other way, right? Meaning, and everybody's smiling. It's like, I'll be honest with you, at home, I don't even recycle my garbage for the simple reason that I know that the garbage company is putting it all in the same place. I don't need training on how to recycle and how to separate. When I know that it's happening, I'm more than happy to do my share. But in the world of work, there's a lot of pushing and wants and needs and expectations. How does it affect you? Or does it?
I think it's a big, I disagree with you. I think sustainability is a big issue. It's no longer a lip service. First of all, if you look at the packaging industry, both corrugated and folding carton, most of the substrates are actually recycled material. Okay, so it's reality. Now, as far as specifically Highcon and its offering, we eliminate the need for the conventional die. Conventional die actually creates 10 times more emission than our foil, our digital foil. And that's a big selling point for us with our customers. It is also a big saving because the conventional die would cost you, pending the complexity, anywhere from $500 to $2,000. And our digital die is $90 or $95. Okay, I'm getting rusty a bit with the numbers.
Yeah. Make it 100. It's easy to work with.
Yeah, they get 100 exactly. So the savings on the dies, not to mention the storage, not to mention the rework, not to mention the space, is huge. Okay, and so I think sustainability is a big thing. We certainly see that, and we've had several customers who've actually brought an auditing company that compared analog to digital. And I think, frankly, it's driven by the consumer packaged good companies. If you look at the Mondelez or Nestle or any of these other companies and their values, sustainability is something that their customers are looking for. So it's certainly something we need to cater for. When we ship our consumables, we allow our customers to ship them back and we'll recycle them. And that's a big plus. And almost every customer asks about it. So maybe it's different in the print, but I can certainly attest that in our space, it is very important and growing.
Oh, so let me be clear. I'm not against sustainability. I just don't recycle because the garbage company is putting it all in a landfill. I know that for a fact. When I know that it is, I'm happy to do it. When I had the company, it was thousands of tons a month doing all the right stuff. It's just, in different businesses. When your customers ship back the parts for recycling, do they pay the shipping or do you pay the shipping?
We pay the shipping. It's prepaid.
Right. Why would they not pay?
Different considerations.
Right.
No, listen, we wanted to, actually 80% of them ship it back, 20% don't. Okay, so it's not a question of, we simply think that this is part of the service, part of the offering. We want to be perceived as a company that cares about the environment, and that's part of it.
So when the whole FSC thing started, certification as a printer, I was FSC certified, PEFC, and SFI. we wanted to be, and we did all the right stuff, and with the UV and the Pantone certification and MGI, and I mean, I did it really a lot of marketing purposes and give the sales team reason to go out and talk to customers. But I was always a little upset that the customers would talk sustainability and then they wouldn't want to pay anything, and I would lose work to the competitor who didn't do all of the certifications. So I'm almost like, I'm almost like the abused, the abused sustainability guy a little bit. So I got tarnished, and I think it's important if everybody chips in, but the manufacturers, be it in our industry or any other, can't carry the burden of it all. That's just what makes me. So that's why I asked if they ship it back or not. Because it's just everybody putting in a little bit of their own elbow, work to do it. But no, I think the sustainability on your end, just the savings of waste is huge.
Huge.
And the product you're dealing with is recycled or recyclable, so it's a little bit easier. Ellie, sustainability in finishing and coatings and foils, and how's that going?
I would say that conceptually, I totally agree with what Shlomo said. It's a big deal. It's an important in every aspect, and we in Scodix we invest a lot in this topic. We are really committed to many standards in this industry. But in the end, I think it comes to the economics, and even in terms of energy consumption. When you consume less in an industrial machine, it costs you less in the end. It's important for us, it's important for our customers, but it's much more important for our customers' customers. So all the sustainability and all the carbon footprint of every single sample that you create is important. It counts not only in terms of numbers, but also in terms of money and cost of recycling and so on. So you've got to be there. And if you want to talk with industrial customers and brands and so on, you need to be at the top of this area, and that's where we are.
So, and in your industry, when they're creating for it, are there certain percentages or size of packaging or space that's better for sustainability that makes big differences? If it's like a 3-inch thing versus 4, or does it change anybody's sustainable card a lot? I mean, because you have the foil. Are all the liquids and everything recyclable to begin with?
We have no dyes, no cliches.
Right.
Today, hot foil cliche is done usually from magnesium, which goes through mining, and it's a horrible metal to handle, magnesium, and it goes then through CNC and the chemical hatching and washing, and then if it's your first iteration, then the mold walls well.
Right.
It's a piece of art. Every piece of cliche is a piece of art. It takes a long time and money, and we just do it from a PDF file. So,
perfect.
From
and I guess
we are in a much better starting point. Of course, foil is foil. Foil is the same. It's the same foil, but
no matter what you do, I'm sure even in terms of prototypes, a lot of savings over there in terms of time and waste, and it comes out really quick. I mean, I think overall waste would be the biggest savings in sustainability with all of the digital technology that we have.
Yeah,
because you're just using less.
If I can add one more thing to Ellie's, I believe Ellie could do the same. What you could do with digital is ganging, and typically in the conventional packaging industry, it's one make ready for one job. With digital, you can actually unify multiple make readies in one digital die. That's a huge element of saving that our customer loves it. I mean, we actually deliver the system with a software that allows you to gang your jobs, and we call it the virtual plant, the plant of the future. And it's part of the selling process, and customer loves it. And, we do the analysis and we show the customers that, hey, you could have actually ganged these jobs, and you could have not only saved the $500 or $2,000 per die, you can actually save 3 or 4 dies. And that's a huge element in terms of sustainability, and of course, bringing value to the customer financially.
Yeah, I mean, just the waste make ready, and the dies themselves. I mean, I remember at the end in the company, we could have had something like 3,000 dies sitting around. We never wanted to throw one out just because someone might reorder one day because you have 12,000 portfolio things sitting around.
That's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what's happening.
Right? You forget. And then, like plates, you almost have to spend $100,000 a year on rent just to house dies that you're afraid to throw out. And plates, I mean, the greatest thing that I would think in printing was a CTP, because we used to gum our plates after, if they didn't do them right, how many jobs went on that were scratch plates that you had to redo, and how many jobs were lost because your press people weren't even looking at the scratches. Nor was the guy die cutting or gluing. And then you deliver the whole, so it's pretty cool. Ilan, sustainability in the fabrics.
Well, I think it's again, I totally agree with Shlomo and Eli. No one, everyone wants it, but people don't like to pay for it. But I think first we come from an industry that I think it's the second highest polluter in the world. Dyeing of fabrics, all the black that we're all wearing is dyed, and the water resources and the waste and the filth that fills. I mean, you see China. I have a friend who's big in the jeans industry. He told me that he lived in a place where the lakes were green or yellow without birds. And so one of the things that has come in over the past few years is very strong regulation and certification in the biggest polluters in the world, which is India and China. They're coming into place in Vietnam and in Bangladesh, just because the water needs to deal with the fabrics. And so that regulation, which started, by the way, in Europe, which is forcing the onshores or the people who export to work in different ways. And digital has caught very strongly in our markets. Kornit specifically has been talking about sustainability for years. The process where you don't need to dye and you use inks that are water-based to print on create a huge advantage in sustainability. Now, it may not add more money to the sale price, but in many cases, the consumers of our manufacturers request that. So Gen Z is now pushing very strongly for sustainable solutions and printing. A lot of certification for baby wear or for any kind of fabrics that babies touch. Fire hazard products, all these things Kornit today with its solutions addresses. And the other thing, and it's funny, everything you said is true for the fabric world. One is waste. I mean, think that if you put a T-shirt and you printed 10,000 of it and you sold 5,000, 30%, it's actually 7,000 or 3,000 usually go to waste. They go to landfills. So you only print what you need, which is huge. And the second, all the screens that you spoke about is one-to-one what happens in our world, in the printing world for fabrics. You see thousands and thousands of screens that are being kept in order to enable future prints on fabrics. And maybe even cleaning the screens today, there's a whole process that wastes a lot of water. And we have a customer in Italy that was very strong in the dye world, and he bought a few of our systems. He said that it cost him €6 on every liter of water just to clean it, recycle it, and return it back into the system. So all of those things are digital printing helps, and sustainability is a key element. But on the other hand, it's not that when we are as consumers go and buy, I'm not sure consumers will pay more for it, but it's starting to become a standard, which means that if you're not sustainable, people will not buy your products. And it's something that we see, especially in the retail world, is being pushed very strongly in order to create that kind of image of clean, especially with the end consumers.
Yeah, it's funny you say the fabric. So I recently bought a jean shirt that was garment dyed, and I come home and I put it in the wash once in cold water, and then after I go to like take it off, and then I got blue on my hands. So now I got to wash
Right.
my hands, and then I'm washing the shirt 10 times before I'm actually going to wear it because it got my t-shirt dirty underneath, and God forbid I go to somebody's house and sit on their couch and leave an ass mark from
Yeah.
my jeans. It's a problem. You could sit on an expensive couch.
So it's what you're saying is what we're doing today, by the way. It's funny because it's a new application that customers have asked for us, is to print, digitally to print jeans on new fabrics because a lot of people don't like the old feeling of jeans, and it's just the fashion. So we can print any jeans that you want. We can even print the ones that make it look old. We can print it to make it look new. We can put any designs on it. So that's a big new area in the industry that people are moving in from dyeing jeans. By the way, jeans is one of the most filthy processes that exist in the world, and everyone wears jeans. So they're looking for new solutions. And what you're saying is exactly a solution that people have asked for, and a lot of our customers are printing jeans.
Hey, listen, I think everything could be printed these days,
Yeah, the
right?
funny thing is
Like,
that even people now sell jeans. They make the holes in advance, so it's different than my age. If I had a hole in my jeans, my mother would not let me
oh,
wear
so
them.
it's
Now
funny.
they're pre-sold with holes, so it's a different
Well,
business.
I was going to ask if you have a machine that actually makes little slices on the knees.
No, we're not
And I
there
They're
yet.
using laser.
laser.
They're
They're
actually
doing
they're
lasers.
actually using lasers. They're
Yes.
using lasers.
I remember about, oh my God, many, many years ago, I was out fishing and I got a really nice big musky fish, and a friend called and he said, "Hey, if you give me the negative, I'll get you on the cover of the magazine." So I'm good for 15 minutes of fame, and I get on the cover of the magazine. And I then go buy 30 copies. And when I get one, I go home and I give it to my mother. And all she does is she looks at the magazine. She goes, "Why are you wearing ripped jeans on the cover of a magazine?" I'm like, "Ma, I didn't
Exactly.
know I was going to be on the cover when I went out fishing today." She
Well,
didn't even look at the fish or the smile. She's just mad about the hole.
yeah. So today you'll be cool.
Today you'd be no, but never mind. Cool. Today makes me crazy that people are spending $200, $250 on ripped jeans.
Yeah. Well,
The world's in a World's
the
in a
world is
different
changing.
place.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So as we go on, let me ask about some competitors. Is there anybody anywhere that you know that's coming out with stuff that's cutting edge like this? Other countries that are stepping up in some way?
I can say on my side, I think the Chinese are very strong. They're copying and pasting a lot of things, but I think they're very innovative. And I'm always concerned when I hear a Chinese going into a space. I came from the telecom world, and small companies like Huawei and ZTE started in 2000, 2002. We're 22 years later, and look at how that changed the industry. So wherever Chinese companies come in strong, it's scary because the government supports them. Specifically in the fabric world, China, as the number one manufacturer in the world, is coming out with solutions that are very cheap. We're currently ahead of them, but we always need to watch out from them. And again, I'm assuming it's true for the other two industries. The Japanese are very strong. They've always been strong, and their evolution's a bit slower. They come out, I'm not sure as a cutting edge technology, but I lived in Japan for 7 years. I worked in Fuso, Mitsubishi Fuso. The trucks weren't as good as the German trucks. They were at a lower grade, but they never break. So in our case, it's Chinese, Japanese. There's some American companies that work, but I think that's where we get most of the competition. And it's strong competition. It's something that we need to always watch out for.
It's funny you say Mitsubishi because my first two presses that I bought, one was a 28-inch 5-color F3 and one was a 40-inch 6-color F1 or something, not like the racing car. And for 20 years when I had them, and we serviced them every Monday and did the oil changes and whatnot, never broke, never a problem. and they weren't the
It's
most
Japanese.
expensive. Why? Yeah, but they weren't the most expensive also because they don't advertise like all the others, and they don't spend the money at the shows like all the others. And I think that they're pretty, and their work ethic makes it a little consistent with what they do. The Chinese, on the other hand, I mean, at the last Drupa, they had a pretty big presence in terms of the different types of equipment that they were selling there, right? And people walking through. So I think we have to watch, but I think also in China, prices are not always so low. You have to be sure. And then you also don't know what you're always going to get.
That's,
So
I think, the major, and again, I'd love to hear what happens in other industries. In our industry, Chinese are willing to pay more if the quality is very high. They really know how to manage the TCO. The Chinese, they prefer, if they do for the masses, they look at price. But when you go up, I know Indigo has been extremely successful in China in the past because of quality, not because of pricing.
Rolls-Royce also.
Rolls-Royce, Mercedes, but that's a different market that they go after.
Yeah, but it's just quality. It's the quality that they like.
It's the brand. They love brands. Chinese love brands, and they like good brands.
No, that's good.
So I'll say that if you don't have a competition, you're either in the wrong market or you don't have the right product. The way I see competition, I mean, first of all, competition is the conventional manufacturing method. Okay, that's has been always the biggest competitor. You know, people in this industry are conservative. They don't want to change quickly.
Really?
Yeah, really. As painful as it is.
And
we actually changed. I mean, what we learned is that we need to figure out how to position ourselves in a way that will be complementary and not threatening to the existing, industry decision makers. And honestly, what's happening right now is that the positioning of the right tool for the right job is essentially a message that resonates very well with our customers. Essentially, you're going to a plant manager and say, hey, you're running an analog equipment for your long run jobs and your mid-sized jobs. And obviously that creates a lot of inefficiencies. How about I'll show you a way that you can free up capacity from your analog, move to digital, and by doing that, increase your overall efficiency. So this is, to me, the biggest competition. I mean, as far as other companies, I think IP is important, intellectual property, and I don't know the situation with Eli and Ilan, but I'm sure these companies also have strong IP that has been developed through the years. I can tell you that we have been twice in a cease and desist situation that we have filed, we initiated, including the last Drupa, utilizing our strong IP situation.
With who? You don't have to answer. I'm just kidding.
I can't disclose. I
No,
can say
I know.
that one of them is in Europe, and they've actually stopped selling the technology. The second one is in China. The jury is still out. I agree with Ilan. I mean, it's tricky with these guys because it almost feels that, they get protected not just by the government, by the patent office, and it's very difficult. I mean, you're not walking on a safe ground with China as it relates to IP situation. So that's problematic. So far, we're not aware of any competitor or direct competitors. We do have competitors in the entry level, but that's really not a market we're targeting as much. We're really going to the high end, to the large customers that are actually using our system as a mission critical, 24/7. Most days of the year. It's a very lucrative market, very tough to enter, but we're working our way through slowly but surely.
Yeah, I think China's got to be tough because they're also could be everyone's biggest customer, right?
Yeah, we are not selling in China at this point in time. I know Eli does. We're not. We're only selling in the US and Europe. That was a choice we made. I mean, the company
Wow.
did sell in the past, in the very, many years ago. But at this point in time, we have not targeted the Asian market as a whole, I would say. So there will come the right time for that.
Wow. How many people don't sell China anything? That's pretty good.
The market
not
in
too
Europe,
bad.
I mean, listen, the market in Europe and the US is huge for packaging. Huge.
Right.
So we had to pick our battle, and selling in China is a whole different story.
Right. And I'm sure when you're selling in North America and Europe, it's just the relationships are different. The trust factor is different. They could bring you to meetings with their customers where you could do the explaining and the showing because you're the experts. Yeah. I think every country is a little different with how they work, how they think, and how they operate. So it's like dancing through everything. So that's pretty cool. Wow. So that's a pretty good touch on all the different topics. Is anybody doing anything cutting edge that they want to talk about coming up in the near future?
What do you mean? We're doing it right now and customers are paying for it, right?
No, but what didn't you tell us that you're doing?
Oh.
Okay, you don't have to. It's top secret. I get it. This is where the military training comes in.
Just after the don't.
Yeah, no, I know.
Exactly.
This is where the military training comes in.
Give us a break.
No, you can't do that. Give a break. That's easy. That's easy. Listen, I'll tell you, it's when I was on the print ownership side, a whole different ball game. Doing, researching, going, buying, spending money, dealing with people, customers, employees, and whatnot. And then now I'm helping print companies with my experience and going around. And I wouldn't want to be an OEM for the most part. The industry is a little old and a little stubborn in a lot of cases, and you almost have to go in with a frying pan to hit people on the head to loosen them up.
Yeah.
And it's like I say to the OEMs, I'll help you sell any piece of equipment to anyone I know, only if my customer can answer the 5 questions. What's the real cost of the equipment? How are they going to sell it? Where are they going to sell it? What's their marketing plan? Do they have a business plan? And I say to the printer, you shouldn't buy anything from anyone if you can't answer those 5 questions, because everybody gets excited and then not everyone, but a lot of people get stuck after. And it's just too expensive now to be playing the games. I mean, I remember the last thing I bought, probably the last guy to get money before the 2008 crisis, but I bought a 56-inch KBA, and the thinking was build it and they will come. And it would have happened if the crisis didn't happen, because I moved in the same day that the crisis started in 2008. Everybody wanted to pay 25% less. No one was thinking about going forward. But in the end, it turned out to be a pretty good move, because you have to do stuff always, even as a printer, differentiate yourself. I think you guys are really in nice positions because what you do is specialty, right? And different. So it's... And how about the people and the company and the culture? Like you have happy employees, everyone's excited. What does the company do to keep them motivated and keep them up? Because I'm sure there's a lot of pressure coming out of there. You're muted. Shlomo, you're muted.
No, I was saying that we're sending them to reserve duty. No, I mean, listen, first of all, Israelis are motivated by nature. We're a very driven nation. This country is a one big startup. My parents came from Iraq. I don't know Eli's history and Ilan, but our parents came from the diaspora. I mean, they started this country and they built this country. You can't do that, with a laid-back DNA. I mean, this company is full of people that are very driven. They want to succeed. Ilan, I think, mentioned that early on in his comment that, people want to be successful, and entrepreneurship is a second trait of almost everyone here. Sometimes too many entrepreneurs, too many smart people in one room with multiple views, but I think it's people believe in the vision, and I think we have strong leaders. I mean, I think what Israel actually got better at is not just doing innovation, but also having strong leadership. The fact that you have people that have managed corporation abroad, came back to Israel, took leadership position. I mean, look, the three of us, I spent 15 years in the US. Ilan spent many years, he didn't tell us all his history, but I have a feeling he spent many years abroad. And that brings a lot of management skills that we're missing in the early part of this country. So anyhow, I can talk about that for hours, but
it's
I better shut
talk
up.
away. It's all good with me.
Yeah.
But listen, there's a reason it's called there's a reason it's called the Startup Nation, right? And it's exactly what you said. And my interaction with people all over from Israel and whatnot, like I was hiking in Nepal and met a young fella, from Israel that took off like 6 months or a year to go on his own, and like not afraid to go anywhere. I'm like, I don't want to go. I'm not going there. They're like, what are you afraid of? What are you, a wimp? Come on, let's go. I'm like, well, I'll walk behind you. Right. It just, and I think that comes into play, like you said, in everything else that you do. It's just a good feeling of confidence. Right. So it's, anyways, I take my hat off to everybody there because I think it's pretty awesome. And I don't think anybody, for the most part, is taught laziness. Right. Everyone's taught to keep moving and keep doing. So, wow, kudos to everybody. Anybody want to talk about anything else before we come to a close? Anything exciting you want to add? Who wants to bring me to Israel and show me around? Haven't been there in a couple of years.
We'd love to host you there if you're willing to come. Many people don't want to come to Israel now, and there's no flights,
I'm working
by the
on
way.
Hey?
No, there are
no
flights.
flight. Well, you got to do multiple stops.
Believe me, they're very hard to get back into the country. You have to go through multiple stops. El Al, by the way, has become the most profitable company in Israel. You want to get on a business class for $9,000. They're happy to take your money. It's unbelievable. But yeah, it's become...
That would only be $3,000 for each of you to bring me on business class.
Well, we hope I hope that now with the latest changes that the companies will open up again, but it's not an easy trip.
Mom. Yeah, we're not here to talk about that, but I think with what's going on, I think there's a certain bit of hopefully some calmness as change goes on. So,
yeah,
and we can only hope for the hostages. Well, we can only hope for the hostages and for everybody else to be safe.
Thank you for saying that.
It's every day you say it. Every day you say it. Anyways, to go back to print, I will just end by saying I'm thrilled to have had the three of you on. I think the stuff and the technology and the work and everything you're doing is pretty incredible, cutting edge, leading our industry like no other. And with the stuff that you guys create, makes for a whole new group of young people to come in and take hold of it and use it. Right? We need fun people. We need to promote the industry. I'm thinking we should have video games at the front of some of the consoles instead of seeing how the press runs on the inside with cameras, right? Because that's what the kids want to see. But all in all, wow! Thanks for everything you guys are doing. Thanks for working with everybody and first of all, also going to all the shows. I'd like to see everybody at all the shows. So on that, I would say to anybody listening, I hope you enjoyed. If there's anything out there that you want to know, you want to learn, give me a call. If there's someone that you think should be on the podcast, please let me know. I don't know it all, but I certainly want to learn more and more every day. I'll say thank you, guys.
Thank you, Warren, Thank you for having us.
Good evening.
Thanks, Warren.
Pleasure.
Have a good
everybody
evening,
else. Warren Werbitt, Printing's Alive, and I love print. We'll see you at the next one.